It's the show
after the show.
Okay, so here's the question for you. And Producer Butters is already going to be in a miserable position because he was singing a song to himself about how great it was that he doesn't have to have roommates anymore. That's not an option this afternoon, morning, whatever. So I was helping a friend look at some apartments because they're moving. And apparently the place they're moving to doesn't believe in people being by themselves. Because a lot of the apartments available are like you get a bedroom and access to a bathroom in a house that's shared. So like there's a common living room and kitchen.
So like USU school housing.
Yeah, it's like college. That's what I associate it with because I did not think that type of roommate situation existed outside of college. As far as I know, there's no campus in the town they're moving to or whatever, but I don't know. I didn't look that hard. They were just like, look at apartments in the city. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So anyway, I was like, well, that's miserable. Like, don't do that. Like, even though that's obviously when you go like cheapest to most expensive apartments, of course those ones are going to be at the top because you get like a room in a place. But that would be miserable. So my question for you is, because everyone I think says the same thing. Once you get to a certain point, nobody wants roommates anymore. You get your own space, everybody gets used to it. Would you rather have, let's say you have a terrible financial situation. So your choices are you can keep the house and have someone move in, or you got to give up the house. So would you rather move back home with family, which is ironic considering your situation, or would you rather have a good friend move in, which would be the best of the worst situations? And I say that with respect because I think everybody would prefer to have their own space.
I'll live in my car.
Same.
So neither of you wants a roommate. You're giving up the house and you're living in the car.
I mean,
I'll buy a van with the money.
I
and convert it. I will.
That's very true. That is very. I will sell the house and rent an apartment by myself.
You know, I used to work with someone that I used to ask these questions, and they would be notorious for not actually answering the question.
So what are you saying? We didn't answer the question?
You didn't answer the question. I gave you the two choices, and you said, "Okay, cool, C." There wasn't a C.
All right, moving friend in.
I'd rather live with my family.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm with you, Producer Butters. I think I would rather have a friend because then it's at least my space. Like, at this point in time, like, family would be like, I guess it's hit or miss. I think family would either bust your chops the whole time, right, because you're back home, or they would be so sad that things happen for you and realize that you're such a soft, brittle little pony that they have to be nice to you.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. I actually kind of would go with family, too.
Well, here's the thing. My family, I'm obviously Latino, so me actually moving out before marriage is a big thing.
Okay.
So me moving back in would make sense to them. So they wouldn't be like busting my chops, but they would try to put curfews on me as a 30-something-year-old.
And that's ridiculous.
But that's why you don't move in with your parents. You move in with your sister.
I'm a 30-year-old independent woman.
Who doesn't have a house right now, so you can just be understanding. But also, I'm not going to accept that curfew.
Listen.
Could I move? Could I move home? Yes, but when I go home to visit, like when I went home for Christmas, do I stay with my family? I don't. I go stay with my friend because it's a more comfortable situation. I think it's way easier for everybody because I just don't want to be around the family that much. So I would move the friend in, which I've done before, and to fair success. Like my roommate I talk about all the time is still one of my best friends to this day. Moving home sounds miserable, even though my family lets me know that option's on the table all the time. And out of context, it's like, hey, if you become a huge miserable failure, you can come home, just so you know. Because that's the what is the other context that I'm moving home? Like, you know, screw it, I don't want to do it anymore. You guys take care of this. I'm just going to sit at home. It's great. Neither of those contexts paint me in a good picture.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. There's no way. It's like when I went home for my sister's graduation 3 years ago, my mom had bought a new house. They bought a bigger house even though both my sisters were moving out for college.
That's usually what happens.
Yep.
Idiots. My mom goes, hey, well, there's a lot of space in here if you want to move home. I mean, we could do some grandkids. I'm like, okay, so in this situation, I have a job that I like that's not here. I quit this job, knock up my girlfriend, and I move in with my parents. Wow, winning. Like, let's get that on social media real quick.
You got a babysitter.
Winning.
And
Just
no
saying.
job.
Free child
and living
care.
at home.
Free child care. There is state assistance.
Thanks. Yeah, great. I'm gonna quit being a someone who contributes to society to be a drain on society.
Yes.
Yep.
Here's the problem with the whole friend idea, for me anyways.
I'm listening.
Last time I moved in with a friend, we became arch nemesis now, so we hate each other's guts now.
Still to this day?
Still to this day.
Wow, she didn't say we weren't friends. She didn't say I disliked them. She said arch nemesis. Wow.
Yep.
Well, I get that. Because here's the challenge. So I think if it's a one-on-one roommate situation, which I'm sure that's what yours was, but from my experience, so like my second time I moved out, my buddy lived with us in a 2-bedroom place with me and my girl, and he hated it. It was miserable. And I've apologized to him since because I was like, that was just not a good experience for anybody. But like I've lived, before I moved to New Mexico, which is the radio job I had before this one, I lived with one of the guys that's my best friend now, still one of my best friends now. I lived with him for 3 years, and I really didn't have any complaints. I mean, we were both lazy or whatever, but I had a good time with him. So, but it was just each of us. So.
Perfect.
They worked out, but you can get on each other's nerves. I think especially the older you get, the more particular you get about stuff.
I think the thing is, she expected me to be like her mom, and I had to clean up the whole house while she just slept, and I was not okay with that. I was like, no. And then she started spreading rumors about me because
that goes well.
I was like, hey, you need to clean up the house. I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, that was fun. I'm still finding out things she said about me, and I'm like, wow.
Creative storytelling.
Interesting.
At its finest. Producer Butters, do you have anybody you consider your arch nemesis?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Unsure? Like, is there a couple contenders? Is that what weighs you down, or you're just not sure if you're ready to go as far as arch nemesis?
I mean, what's the difference between that and somebody you really, really dislike?
Well, I would say you can really dislike someone who's not the opposite of you. Your arch nemesis, I would say, is the opposite of you in terms of constantly getting in your way and blocking your success, right? Like they're the villain to your hero, or vice versa. Yeah, or vice versa.
I don't know.
You don't know? Because I don't know that I'm willing to go as far as arch nemesis. I don't think I'm ready to go there.
Yeah,
I am.
I love the evil laugh.
Listen.
Okay, wait. So then, are you the villain in the story? Because that's what I'm getting. That's the vibes I'm picking up here.
I'm the hero in my story, but I'm apparently the villain in her story. But
it's like Wicked.
To be fair, here's an example of why I think we're. Anyways, so she was boy crazy. Like she liked all the boys. And me, I'm not like that. I'm more of like, yeah, they're friends, they're cool. And then apparently she had a crush on this guy. We're going to name him Ryan. And Ryan actually came up to me and started talking to me. And then in order to like block me, she was like, do you know how old she is? And I was like, wow. What? I was like, this is how old I am. I am not ashamed of my age. But the way she said it, I was like, wow.
No, that's rude.
She's old AF.
That's rude.
And I still look better than you. Ha.
Bad words.
Arch nemesis. Very arch nemesis vibe. It's funny you said that, I'm the villain, I'm the hero in my story, she's the hero in her story, whatever. And that's so frustrating. Everybody says, talk with your words, and no one tells you, except you're never going to get anywhere because no one ever thinks they're wrong. It's a waste of time.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm wrong, I will admit it. Like, yes, I was wrong. I was never wrong in that situation. But, in some instances, I'd be like,
the hero
okay, yes, maybe I over-exaggerated, maybe I overreacted. But then it's like, no, because she gaslit me, and then she got me to the point where then I blew up, and now I'm the bad guy.
Right.
So, yeah. So I can admit that, yeah, maybe I lost my temper a time or two, but it was mainly because I would be like, no, this is what happened. And she'd be like,
no, I got you. I'm just saying, in general, people are like, you can talk things out. No, you can't, because everyone goes, whatever, that's not what happened. This is how I did it. It's like, that's not what happened. They just, stupid.
Yes. Stupid.
Okay, get this. So Producer Butters is I don't want to say you're an old soul, because I don't know that that's necessarily it, but you are, I don't know how to describe it. Producer Butters has a bunch of radios in his house. If I say it that way, does it frame it in an interesting way that he is someone that I guess wouldn't even call it nostalgia, really?
No, I just grew up with him and never got rid of him.
Yeah. Okay, so get this. So if you were to check the time and temperature here in California, across the world, how would you do so?
I mean, the internet, like everybody else.
That's what I thought too. There are millions of people, according to a recent study, that still use time and temperature hotlines. Meaning they dial up a number and it goes, the time is ha-ta-ta-ta, and the temperature is ha-ta-ta.
Wait, there's a thing
There's
like
that?
Yes.
There's things like that?
Yes!
I want this number. I will do it.
Look what you started.
The idea is to make fun of people who do that, because all you have to do is go, oh, hey, it's 10:46 and 47 and sunny out.
So there was a banking system that was like in the town that I lived in, and I used to call it all the time to find out what the temperature was. Because it would say at the beginning of the thing, then press 1 for accounts.
I never did that. I mean, granted, back in my day, you could be like, what time of year is it? This time. Okay, it's approximately going to be this temperature. Generally, if you have a place that experiences the seasons, you can figure it out. Like, at this day, it's going to be 70 day, which is going to be nice, but, like, no one's like, hey, it's March in Utah. Pfft, shorts and t-shirt, let's do it. Like, you're not going to do that.
I mean, it doesn't tell you the high, it just tells you the current temperature.
Right, but that's what I think those hotlines do. It blows my mind, though, that millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions of people still use those hotlines.
Okay, so let me ask this. Is that in the U.S. or is that throughout the world?
I don't know if it's throughout the world, but I know it includes the U.S. because in the story it said that they were setting up a couple more in Tampa, Florida, I believe, because there was such a demand.
All right, I want this
Tampa,
number.
Florida, I'm guessing it's mainly the retired community.
It's probably true, but even still, a lot of people, like so many people have smartphones nowadays.
Have you seen old people try to use a smartphone?
Look, yes I have. But time and temperature is not a tricky one to get
Just
to.
teaching them how to use
right,
the phone
it's
and,
right
and
there.
maybe a text is very difficult.
But time and temperature, you don't need. It's right there. The widgets are right there.
Look, some of them don't know how to do widgets.
Just be patient. It's okay.
You don't even have to activate the widgets. Those widgets are usually already in place.
Sometimes.
That's fair.
More often than not. Speaking of throwbacks, how about this? So Lady A's going on tour, and the name of their tour is I think it's called the Request Line Tour. And they actually set up a hotline where you can call and say what your favorite song of theirs is, and the set list will change based on the requests people put in.
Eh.
What?
Time and temp hotline, fascinating. Request line thing for a concert, who gives a crap?
They're gonna play what they're gonna play.
I mean, probably. That's
Either
what I
way.
said That's what I said this morning on the show. Is that I think it's just clever from the standpoint if 6,000 people request the same song and you play that song, everyone's like, "That's because I requested it."
It's true.
The only way this doesn't work though is if someone's like going out to promote a new album, because most of the people there don't want to hear the new album. I think the vast majority of people go out to concerts, they want to hear the older stuff that they're familiar with. So, but I don't think they've dropped a new album, so I think they're just going out, and this is a creative twist on kind of each show being different and letting people think, at least, that they have some control over it. I think it's clever.
They're gonna go, don't want to play that song.
Play that song.
Yeah.
It's just a train song, but it's just funny. I just thought it was
That's
interesting.
a train wreck song.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I am astonished. I am astonished that in this day and age with all this technology, that you are still fascinated by the time and temp hotline thing.
Why?
I just, it's stupid. It doesn't need to exist. It's like calling a movie theater. They used to have what was it called? Movie phone, I think is what it was called. Where you could call it and it'd be like, select your theater, because it would figure out your town based on where you called from. And then you'd pick 1, 2, or 3, because my town had 3. And then it would be like, hey, what movie do you want? And then it would list, press 1 for Marvel or whatever.
There was that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
What? I never used the phone for that. I just used the newspaper.
See, there was that too.
There you go.
The phone felt more convenient than the newspaper, because as a kid,
No.
who's going to drag up the newspaper?
And the newspaper is easier because you just look up your theater and the movie. You don't have to wait there for it to be like, number 1, Marvel. Number 2, Titanic. Number 3, The Muppets. No! It's right there!
I never knew where the newspaper was.
I don't think I really...
I didn't read it as a kid, ironically enough.
I'm trying to think of how I knew when times were. Maybe it was just they drove by.
You could just drive by. That was always an option too.
Yeah, just
'Cause
arrive there and see.
They used to post them up on the billboards, but the company that is here now does not do that.
Yeah, because who cares? Nobody's gonna drive by it later. You just look at your phone. What's that? Cool.
I did. Now I'm like, man, I don't know what's in theaters. Don't care.
It's actually fair. I don't know what's in theaters either.
Nothing gets me excited because I drive by and it just says advertise here. Never mind. Just keep going.
I'm serious. Like,
I hear you.
I don't want to pay $15 for a ticket. I can just wait till it comes out on Netflix or Redbox. Pay $1.
Take that, movie
Or
industry.
Or Disney Plus.
But the time and phone line industry, keep that going. That's a business we need.
Most
Okay.
definitely.
While we've prioritized which organizations need to exist and which clearly don't, obviously, in this new world in 2022, this has been the show
After the show!